everybody, welcome back to my channel. I'm going to do my weekly wrap up and I have an announcement. So I tried to do this yesterday, kept getting interrupted, so now the kids are back to school, hubby's at work, I got time. Because yeah, and it was a holiday yesterday, so things were just haywire. Or not haywire. What am I talking about? My son was at scout camp. He was supposed to come back yesterday and they ended up getting flooded out, so he came back Sunday night. And yesterday was a holiday, so he was in and out, and it was just easier not to do it. So the first book I finished was Organize Your Corpses by Mary Jane Matheny. She is a Canadian writer, but this takes place in New York, and it's about Charlotte, who comes back from a failed engagement. She used to live in New York. This I don't think takes place in New York unless it's a different Woodbridge, New York, yeah. But I think she was living in New York. So she comes back to her hometown and she decides she's going to be an organizer. So she goes in and tries to help people, like, not clean their house, but organize, like, to make more efficiency, less clutter, which we're not going to go in there. So a former teacher calls on her to help her find some documents in a house that she had been willed. Her cousin had passed away and willed her the house because she's, it's her and her other cousin that is still alive. So she can't throw anything out until she finds these documents, but they didn't come to a complete agreement the night before. So Hellfire Henley, the teacher, calls her that night and says, I need you to come over right now. And Charlotte's friends are telling her, no, you need to set boundaries, especially with her, or else your life is going to be hell. So she had said no. And tried to make arrangements to go the next day, and unfortunately couldn't get a hold of Hellfire Henley. So she shows up at the house with a contract for her to sign and finds her dead on the floor. The town detective used to be Charlotte's best friend and hates her. There was a big falling out. You find out a little bit later on, but not quite. Itchy allergies, sorry. So there's a couple of things that Charlotte does that, really, is not quite the smartest thing to do. But she's always trying to make everybody happy. Essentially, she's got a good heart. Her friends are hilarious. There's a couple other storylines that you kind of really love, so I gave this a 4. The next book I finished is Entwined with You by Sylvia Day. It's a Crossfire novel. It's book 3 out of 5 in the Crossfire novels, so I can't really get into it, but it was still vulgar, so you have to, it's an erotic novel. You have to get over the vulgarity. I don't think I was in the right mindset when I first started this, which is why I finished this one first. Because the first 40 pages, they had sex 7 times. So it's like, okay, can we get on with the story now? I don't mind the sex, but can we get on with the story? I like a, storyline. Oh, I don't know why I'm so itchy today. So Gideon is like the top 25th richest person in the world. He has these major conglomerate, if you want to say, and she wants to make it on her own. She doesn't want to be given stuff. She doesn't want people to pay her way. She wants to do it herself. So she refuses to work for him, but she works for a company in the same building that he owns. And, sparks fly when they're together and stuff like that. But I gave it a 4. Once the initial couple of chapters, then you start getting more into the story, and then it, gets much better. And then the last book I finished was Summer of My German Soldier by Bet Green. There is a companion novel, and I'll probably end up reading it because I'm a sucker for punishment. But this one got a 2.75 for me. It starts out with this Jewish, like, everybody's at the rail station waiting for these German POWs to arrive so that they can see the German prisoners, and it takes place in 1941. And I thought this was like a young adult, but she's 12. So part of the problem was half the time she was mouthing off. And I mean, even like I grew up in the 70s and 80s, and I wouldn't dare mouth off to my parents. Back then, you still got beat. I'm not saying it's okay, but you still got, backhanded or hit across the head. You don't talk to your parents like that. She was talking to her parents as if she was a 30-year-old woman. And I'm sorry, but a 12-year-old? No. That wouldn't fly in this house. And I mean, I don't beat my kids, but I make darn sure that they do not talk to me like that. They know not to talk to, adults like that. Because she was saying stuff like, well, I told you that I was not, really? No. So, I mean, the whole premise was that she was meeting up with this escaped prisoner. It wasn't a concentration camp. It's just a prisoner of war camp. And she was working in her father's store when they came in, the POWs came in to buy straw hats because they kept passing out while they're working in the fields. He was the only one who spoke English, so he acted as an interpreter. And then he escapes, and she finds him running in the field by her house, so she hides him in like an unused part of their garage. There's only like 3 or 4 interactions between the two of them, and then he, he's gone. The thing that bothered me was she's 12, he's 22, and they kiss. So, yeah, not cool. And they're in love with each other. Like, no. So, at some points, I mean, her father's atrocious. He would beat her just for talking to the neighbor kid. The neighbor kid, she doesn't know why she gets beat all the time for talking to him, but she knows that she thinks it's because the other family's so poor. But he's kind of on the, I wouldn't say autism spectrum. He's not mentally at the age where he should be. So he's kind of like a 6 or 7-year-old in the body of a 12-year-old, mentally handicapped, And every time she talked to him, her father would beat her. And I mean, literally, like, stop in the middle of the street, jump out of his car, and beat the snot out of her. Just for talking to this little boy. And, yeah. So I gave this a 2.75. But yeah, it wasn't really what I was expecting. I was expecting this, like, young adult relationship, or, and I wouldn't say relationship as in boyfriend, girlfriend, but relationship between a Jewish girl and a German prisoner of war, and it was not that. It was so not that. And I don't know how it won an award. I really don't. It was a National Book Award finalist, an ALA notable book. So it's definitely not what I was expecting. So currently reading book 1 in the Brit Boys Sports. It's called The Play by J.H. Croix. I can't roll my R's. Croix. It's really hard. The storyline's good. Like, it's like I'm whipping through it. It needs to be edited way better. There are open-ended sentences. There are wrong spellings of words. There are words are missing from the sentences. Like, it's bad. Like, it really needs to be edited before it gets published. And there's 5 books in the series, so it could have gone back and like been re-edited. But it is the story of two guys that were soccer players, but in England it's football, come over to the States in Seattle, and play for Seattle Stars, I think the name is. I don't know if it's real or fiction. I'm pretty sure it's fictional. They come over here to play, and it's called soccer over here, and so he gets mad because it's, it's football. But he has a torn ACL, and he meets up with this doctor or surgeon who is going to fix him up, and sparks fly immediately. She tells him that she couldn't be bothered with sex or anything like that because it's boring, and he takes the challenge, essentially. And then he keeps asking her, well, are you bored yet? It's cute. But like I said, it's really, like, editing wise, it needs a lot. Like, there's a couple of times where the sentence just ends and you're like, but it's supposed to say this other couple of things. So I'm 71% finished in that. And then I started last night, One Night with a Cowboy by Kat Johnson, and so far it's just a girl gets fired or let go. She's a English professor at Vassar College, University. But because she doesn't have tenure and she was the last one hired, budgetary cutbacks, yada yada. So she's talking to her sister, and her sister inadvertently sends her email to this college in Oklahoma, and they're in New York, if I'm not mistaken. A lot of New York stuff. So they have to fly in for a live interview, and they decide to go. Her sister wants to go to this rodeo, and Tucker spots them and decides to invite them down to where he is instead of way in the nosebleed section, essentially. And that's as far as I've gotten. So those are for my Triple RC challenge books. Once I'm done those, there's one book on the e-reader that I have to read. It's called The Darkest Hour by Maya Banks, and that has to do with former military romance. And then I'm going to be picking up Man of My Dreams by Joanna Lindsay. This is the last book I have to read for the Triple RC challenge. Excuse me, for May. And I can't even remember what it's about. It's Joanna Lindsay. She's my favorite historical romance author. And it's the most desirable beauty in the land, wildly unpredictable, Megan Penworthy has set her amorous sights on Ambrose St. James, Duke of Rothston, a man she has never met but has every intention of marrying. No other suitor will satisfy her, especially not the common, if uncommonly handsome, horse breeder Devlin Jeffreys. And I think the Duke of Rothston is hiding out, and he is Devlin Jeffreys. Like, that's who he's pretending to be. Sorry. Now, the announcement that I have. Sarah from Steeped in Books is having her summer romance book bingo again this year, and it takes place from June 1st to August 31st. And she has graciously allowed me to be a co-host. So you will be seeing my face a lot more this summer. There are 5 other hosts. I think that Lizzie from Lizzie Faye Reads Books. Loves books. Lizzie Faye loves books. Lindsay from The Wandering Reader. I think that's her channel name. Sissy from Queen Romance Queen of BookTube. Who's the other one? Wow, can't remember. Let's see. Anita from Anita Reads. And I think that's it. Yeah, Elizabeth, Lindsay, Anita, Sissy, and me are going to be the co-hosts. So all their links will be down below. So yes, I'm very excited to be co-hosting this readathon, as like I need more romance again. I really, really, really want my romance back again. Not that I've been holding back. I've just been reading other things and doing other things, and so yeah, it should be fun. One other thing, my customer that has decided to quit is now having second thoughts. So that might come back again, but because I have my e-reader now, it's easier to get reading in while working. And I'm finding that balance. So it's, who knows what my life is going to be in the next 3 months. We shall see. So that is it for today. Like I said, all the links for all the co-hosts and the Romance Readers Reading Challenge group will be down below, as well as Sarah's Create Your Own Readathon group. That's the group that we use for the the book bingo. I haven't had enough coffee. I'm gonna blame that. So yeah, everything's gonna be down below. All the groups, all the co-hosts, everything is gonna be down below. And I think that's gonna be it for today. I will see you later. Thanks again to Sarah for allowing me to co-host, and I will talk to you guys soon.